We are back with Dr. Stoller talking about concussions here at Atlantic Health Systems, home of Atlantic Health. Doc, what are some ways we can test for a concussion? And then also talk to me about if a kid gets a little ding, then maybe he doesn't have all the symptoms, or maybe there's one or two very mild symptoms. What happens if it's not addressed and he's back on the playing field?
That's a great question. So I'll answer part one as far as what we do in the office or what can be done on the sideline. So the first test we usually do is called a SCAT, or a standardized concussion assessment tool. And that is an inventory of all the symptoms that we think about: headache, nausea, cognitive issues, dizziness, etc. And once we get inventory on that, we have a good flavor of how severe the concussion may be. The second thing we do in the office is a physical exam. So I'm checking for balance, coordination, eye tracking, strength, as well as memory testing. So all these things play a role, as well as watching just simply a patient walk, stand on one foot, things that, we take for granted, but after a concussion are impaired.
Yeah.
One of the things that on the sideline has been done is something called King Devic, which is an eye tracking exercise, and that's done in some of the high schools and colleges. So these are all things that we do in the sidelines as well as in the office.
Right.
The second part of the question I think is really important when you have especially a student athlete who has a possible concussion. And my mantra is, when in doubt, sit them out and see what's going on. If they had a ding and you're not sure, was it a concussion, was it not a concussion, and you sit them out and you monitor them, and you have a good idea if they're back to normal quickly or not. And if they're not, or if you feel like the trauma was significant enough, then hold them out and have them evaluated. And the reason is that if you do have two traumas within a 10-day period or 14-day period, there are long-term ramifications that can happen. In a very, very catastrophic case, there's something called second impact syndrome, which can lead to death. We have not seen that in our institution, but it has been reported. The other thing, unfortunately, is having two concussions in too short of a period of time could cause long-term issues. Simple as migraine, but as severe as long-term cognitive issues, memory, concentration.
I think that's so important. I think the takeaway here is really simple. And what you said, when in doubt, sit them out. If you have a mild concussion, and it might be the athlete might be trying to hide it, right? And he goes back into play and gets a second concussion, the risk factors are extremely high. That's for long-term damage and long-term health challenges. So, I think that's probably one of the most important things we went over here today, or ever, important in terms of the reality of sports. Kids are going to get dinged. They're going to fall off their bike. They're going to do things. They might hit their head just falling out of bed, right?
That's right.
But that's what you have to really pay attention. Like you said, it's not forever. 14 days, come get checked out. Make sure you're good to go. Go through the cognitive tests again. Make sure you're good, and then we'll be good. So it's not a lot to give up.
No.
14 days, whatever it is, 15 days. So really important, Doc. Thanks so much.